Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Warfare TV. We have a very special episode. As many as you know, a while ago, I stopped recording the podcast as a hangout, but today, with the launch of a brand new book that I'm very excited to have a few of the contributors on, and with this opportunity, I wanted to bring them in and do actual hangouts. So today, we're joined by Mitch Meyerson, author of 11 books, 4 programs, and kind of the lead author on the book that we're ultimately going to talk about today, which is The Success Secrets of the Online Marketing Superstars. And we're going to get into this book so much more because there's a lot of really good stuff to dive into. We also joined by Lou Bortone. He is our video marketing master guru ninja pro, but really video marketing for a lot of people that you know. He helps them and coaches them through what they do. So we're looking forward to diving into his expertise. And we're also joined by Jason Van Orden. He contributed to the podcasting section. He's got a great podcast, and if his audio works for us, which, Jay, is your audio working?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
And
Sounds
there
good.
he is.
Well
there
done.
he is.
Hello,
All right.
hello.
Yay.
So, Jason, why don't you? Let's start with you because you're the last one that I talked about. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and what your podcast is.
Yeah, sure. So I am the co-host and co-founder of Internet Business Mastery, and that is the longest-running podcast. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I've got 2 videos going. I gotta make sure I shut down this one.
That's where the echo's coming from.
We'll do this again. Okay. Yeah, so my name is Jason Van Orden. I'm the co-host and co-founder of a podcast called Internet Business Mastery, which is the longest-running podcast about internet business. We started back in 2005. Was the author of a book called Promoting Your Podcast. So I've been doing podcasting for a long time, especially as it relates to business and how to attract your ideal customer and drive sales and build your list using the medium of podcasting. So that's what I do.
That all sounds like very cool stuff. Lou, let's kick it over to you, man. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
My background is in the television business. I worked in Los Angeles for many years for various divisions of Fox and E! Entertainment Television, and about the same time as YouTube started, I brought my business online and have been doing video marketing ever since.
Very, very cool. Mitch, you are the title author of the book. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then tell us a little bit about this book that we're here to talk about.
3 careers. My first one was music, still is. It's my first love. I would get back to it more and more. After 10 years of starving as a musician, I became a psychologist, but wrote some books on psychology, had a great run, 15 Minutes on Oprah, and that was really cool. But after about 15 years, and this is a side conversation, you know, about 15 years is as long as I can do a career. I jumped into the internet in 1999 and just saw the amazing potential. Wrote a whole series of books, online programs. So of the books I've written, 3 of them are actually called Success Secrets of the Online Marketing. The first one was called Success Secrets of the Online Marketing Superstars in 2005. And we had great people of that era, Marlon Sanders, Alex Mandoji, and Robert Allen. All those people were the first people to really do stuff out there. And the book was really interesting because you got the best advice from people who were really doing it. Then, 5-year period of delay, I did a lot of other things. Success Secrets of the Social Media Marketing Superstars came out. That was a great book. Mari Smith, Michael Stelzner, all those types of people. And now it's yet unbelievably 5 years later, 2005, 2010, 2015. I got this guy here, which is just coming out as we speak. So the idea for the book is very simple. You get the best minds conveying the best information on niche, important topics. Doesn't put it on me for creating it. I have 1 chapter. But the beauty of the book is we got great people like we have on the call today and a lot of great content.
So I want everyone at home to understand that I didn't just have these guys on to pitch the book, right? I think that there's a lot that we can learn from the creation of the book, and ultimately what I want to talk about is how we piece all these things together, right? The title of this show is Tactics to Attention, and what I would like to do is I want to talk a little bit about, pull a little bit from each individual, Mitch, Lou, and Jason's expertise, and talk a little bit about their specific level, but then I also want to get their kind of, all of them have been in the game for quite a long time, so I want to talk about stitching these things together a little bit. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about, and for those who watched or listened to the show for a while, know that there's very little chance that we actually get there in a linear path, is actually how we communicate and how we use these tools. We had a really great discussion in the green room that I wish we were recording around how different people approach connecting with their audience versus connecting with, just say, other colleagues or other peers in the industry, and the different methods that go into that, and if we hit on all those topics, then this will probably be the greatest audio created piece of content in the history of the world. So I want to start.
I just want to jump on one piece, and I'll give it back to you.
Please do.
I was saying to you, I need the link for this conference, and you keep giving me a Google link, and I keep saying, can you email me or call me? Now, I just realized I'm a lot older than you. So email's my thing. You're Mr. Facebook social media. And I just thought that was interesting how we're all marketing to the world, but we're not all in the same place with how we consume information.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the beauties of the way the book. So I'm using the book as a framework, not just for the book itself, because I mean there's so much value in the book, but more the construct of bringing this many different concepts together. And when you think about it, so what Mitch is describing is that we were connecting on the show and starting to talk about, how do we get there, when are we going to get here, the green room, all that kind of stuff. And I told him that my preferred method for connecting with guests prior to coming to the show for scheduling and stuff is actually Facebook direct message. We get a chance to chat live, get it done. You can post links. I mean, you could do Google direct message too, I guess. But Mitch preferred email, and mostly because I'm just a terrible host, and I'm trying to launch my book on the same week that he's launching his. I just didn't get a chance to email him, and it drew out this really interesting conversation. So let's take this to Lou. So we know Mitch prefers email. For me, it's more of this direct message conversation. Lou, for you, like if you were bringing a guest on or you were a guest trying to communicate, what would be your preferred method of getting that done?
I try and find them wherever they are, so I know for most people, that I know they're going to be on Facebook because I chat with them there all the time, and if I was sort of got a side conversation going. Sometimes it's email, depending on the niche, and once in a while, if I'm really ambitious, I'll do video email.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because that really gets your attention.
I actually had a guy do a video email to me, a video introduction. He was actually an insurance agent, so this is revolutionary for the insurance industry. And for the three of you, you probably don't realize this, but my primary marketing vertical is the insurance industry. So the business that I work in is actually geared towards digital marketing for the insurance industry. So a lot of my examples are in the insurance industry. I apologize about that. But he did a YouTube video, 30 seconds. Hey, Ryan, this is what I do. Here's why I'd love to connect. I'd love to get your insights on this thing that I'm having trouble with. Bang, done. Emailed it to me. Of course, I had to watch it. And then we started, everything he wanted got done because he sent it to me in that kind of unique format. So I thought that was very interesting. Jason, what about you, man? You got to pull a lot of, you got to communicate a lot for your show. Do you do guests on your show? I'm sure that you occasionally have other people on. How do you communicate them? What's the best way of kind of connecting and getting the things done that you need to get done in that way?
Sometimes we have guests on the show, and typically the people that have on the show, the best way I have of connecting with them is to try to connect them through a common contact, but usually that's all done through email. But something that we teach our students a lot is to use the power of social networks like Twitter to connect with influencers in that way, or at least to learn enough about them such that when you connect, there can be more of a just like, hey, I'm trying to get something from you type attitude, but that you come to that point of connecting with someone a little bit informed about who they are, what they do, how you might be able to help them best as well. So I have found the social media, just because we all have these social lives online now, you can learn a lot about a person up front, and certainly that goes a long way when people feel like you've done some of your research.
How do you feel about people reaching out to you on Twitter for, say, an interview request or some sort of request or introduction? Do you think that Twitter's a good place to make that first introduction?
I wouldn't say. I would say no, unless you've taken some time to maybe first interact with them in other ways. I mean, if you notice that they're really active on Twitter, if your first interaction with them is like, hey, let's, I'd love to have you on my show, that is going to probably fall a bit on deaf ears, just because I get so many requests for interviews. But if I've been interacting with somebody for a few weeks or that even a few months, and like their name has come up through places like Facebook and Twitter, and maybe in responding to the things that I put out there and retweeting the things that I put out there, maybe even in pointing me towards some things that they think I would find interesting because they actually have shown that they know the kinds of things that interest me. And then later on, that request comes through Twitter, then I might be more responsive to that in that way.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take this back down the line because I think this is an interesting question. Mitch, I'm gonna give you last shot because it speaks to a question I have about the actual book itself. So Lou, if someone's reaching out to you, I know if I get a completely cold solicitation, my first reaction is to pump the brakes a little bit, because why are you asking me to do something and I don't know you yet? And so how much, I guess, so my question that I want to spin it a little differently for you is, how much softening or prep work or relationship building do you expect from someone before they say, hey, I'd really love to have you on my show, or I'd really like you to contribute to my blog or video or whatever?
Right, and I think that's where social media can be a huge advantage, because if somebody's trying to reach me or if I'm trying to reach somebody else, you can do your homework. You can go on their Facebook page, you can see what they're talking about on Twitter, you can watch their YouTube videos. So I'm not going to reach out to somebody and ask them to buy a program if I just saw a Facebook post that their dog passed away or something. So you can really do your homework and know what that person's up to by kind of stalking them on social media before you approach them.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like today, it's almost too easy to understand who the people are that you're working with, and unlike what I actually did for this interview today, where I probably underprepared considering I had 3 guests on and not just one. It's almost too easy to figure out what people are into and how you can come up with some connection points, right?
Mm-hmm. But if people know, they see pictures of Rocco the pug, my little pug who's down here, on Facebook, and they have a pug, then we have that immediate connection, no matter what. So you can definitely find connections and ways to connect with people online by looking for those commonalities.
At what point does it become creepy? Like if someone referenced what, and you go, maybe you shouldn't have referenced this thing. Like, is there a line where that kind of relationship building as a tactic becomes almost uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's kind of like the same as online networking or something. Like, okay, if somebody sent me a sweater for Rocco, that would be kind of creepy. So, like, look, I know, okay, great, you have a pug, I have a pug, but you don't need to send him Valentine's cards or anything like that. So you don't want to go overboard. I think it's, a lot of it's common sense. Like, what you would do in a real life situation should be the same as you would do in an online situation.
Yeah. I like that. So, Mitch, I left you for last because obviously you recently and have before pulled together a large number of people into one body of work. So how I would like to address this question to you is, what was your method for reaching out to people and kind of explaining what you wanted to do in a way that got so many incredible thought leaders to say yes?
I'm going to answer that question after I answer the question you just talked about. How do you get an influencer on your team when they don't even know you care about you? I'm going to give you a ninja technique here. It's not a technique, it's just a truth that people don't do ever. Okay? Let's say you wanted to reach me. I'm at a point in my career where I really don't want to take on new stuff. I just don't. So if you say, hey, can you do this interview? Hey, can you do this? And reach me through Twitter, which I don't even look at very much. I know it's bad, but I'm a curator. I'm at just place in my life where I just don't want to do it. How you could reach me, and you never do this, but maybe you will after this call, say what really turns Mitch on at this point. Is it another interview? Is it another book? Is it another program? Is it making money? The answer is probably no to all these things. But if you were to say, what turns Mitch on, and you did a little research, you'd say, what if I go to Mitch's music channel? What if I send him a note saying, I really like that song you wrote called One More Day? Do you think you'd get my attention? Better believe you'd get my attention. In fact, I'd probably email you back and say, wow, what else did you like? Now you've got an invitation to where I live, my current right now passion. And then if that segues into something else, it does. But I say keep that concept for approaching people. What turns them on? Okay, and then
I'm right with you on that. It's funny. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and that says something immediately about who I am as a person, I'm sure, to a lot of people. And when someone references football or the Bills in an email and starts that conversation with me, I immediately am connected with them because I'm always in that mind space. But there's so many other things. I'm right with you. That's such a great point.
So how I got this collaboration going in 2005, it was just a great idea. The great idea is if you're going to approach a publisher, okay, publishers want to know you can market it and make the money. It's not just a book, but can you sell the book? So I said, what if I come up with an idea of success secrets of the online marketing superstars, have 24 people not only contributing great content, but creating great marketing? That is appealing to a publisher. Now, how did I get 24 superstars? Well, a little bit of creative leveraging. I, at the time in 2004, knew Jay Conrad Levinson because I was co-creating the Guerrilla Marketing Coaching Program. So I had one superstar in my court, but I had a great idea. Said, Jay, do you know anyone else would want to be in the book? He gave me a couple people. Then once I had 3 people, I said to a 4th person who's a superstar, do you know who's in the book? You want to be in the book? Oh, I want to be on that team. Plus, at that point, I got the publishing contract. So it was about leveraging people with a great idea. And then once I had one book, it became easier to do a series. But that's how I got the thing rolling.
Yeah. So basically, I want to just kind of get this straight in my mind. You had a really strong relationship, and then you use that relationship to say, hey, look, if this person who obviously doesn't, is busy, has things going on, can take some time out of their life to come in and help me with this project, I'm obviously trustworthy enough that you could give me some of your time and I'm not going to waste it on you. And then using that as a way to kind of almost like social validation for the fact that if they give you some of their time, you're going to use it in a very appropriate and valuable way.
But it always comes down to what's in it for them. Why would Lou want to be in this book? Well, it solidifies his position as the video marketing superstar. That is helpful to Lou, okay? And for everybody in this book. So it kind of really helps with your credibility. So it was a challenge because there's a lot of great people out there. There's no way I covered all the superstars on the internet. It's impossible.
Yeah, there's this guy Ryan Hanley who didn't get an invite into the book, and I can't even believe that you missed him.
You must. Yeah, I do email. That's probably.
Well, so here's one of my favorite parts about Google Hangouts is we get to bring the audience in a little bit, and just Andrea says, and I just unpinned her, so now I'm showing that I don't know what I'm doing. But Andrea says, note to self: don't send Rocco a sweater. So no
Thanks,
sweaters. Mailed to Lou. We won't make his contact information or his mailing address part of the show either. And Stepan came in here and said he wants to know how I like standing when I do my broadcasts. I do my best thinking on my feet, so I love it. And if anyone who's watching this video sees this apparatus shake, it's because I don't have a very good base underneath it. It's not because we're having a earthquake. So all is fine here in upstate. Lou, I want to go back to you, and I'm kind of working the line here from right to left, but I want to talk about video marketing a little bit because I am a very amateur video marketer. I love video, but I'm still kind of in the, I haven't done it for long enough that I would consider myself anything more than I'm still working a lot of the bugs out. But can you talk a little bit about I've been reading a lot about Facebook versus YouTube and some of this. I know this is very tactical, but it's also kind of timely. So that's why I kind of want to bring it up. And there's some other platforms attacking YouTube. Mm-hmm. What is the validity of, say, Twitter native video or Facebook native video coming in, or is YouTube still the place to be?
Well, I mean, YouTube is the place to be because it's like the 800-pound gorilla, and why not? I mean, when I do a video, I upload it to YouTube because everybody's there. And I also upload it natively to Facebook because Facebook likes that, and you have more control over it rather than just sharing it from YouTube. So I say, you know what, it's an extra 2 minutes. Why not do both? And Pinterest and LinkedIn while you're at it. So it's very easy now. It's kind of low-hanging fruit to share video across several platforms. So why not be on as many platforms as possible?
Now, so this is my question, and this is a question. So Jason, keep this one in mind because I'm going to ask you the same thing. When it comes to your video and the message that you're trying to convey via video, does it necessarily matter the platform that someone watches on? So this is something I ask myself all the time, right? Like, I know part of YouTube's algorithm is number of hits and a certain amount of time and how long people watch and how deep into YouTube they go, and okay. And so it's important that, like, let's say if I'm going to get 10,000 views, does it diminish the overall chance of my message spreading if 3,000 of those views are on Facebook and 2,000 of them are on YouTube and 1,000 of them are on Twitter, or is it just that you reach those people and that's what really matters?
At the end of the day, you just want to reach those folks and hopefully have some kind of call to action and have them, do what you want them to do. So if it's go to your website or buy something, whatever that may be, I don't care if I reach them on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever it may be, as long as they get the message. And most of the time, the message is more important than the quality of the video. So it's really more about the content than the quality.
Yeah. So Jason, I want to ask you the same question, but in terms of podcasting now. So now we're talking audio only. One of the things with this show that I actually tested for a while and then got away from was, like, I host on Libsyn, and then I'm trying to, do I drive people to iTunes, or I drive them to Stitcher, or my own page, or does it matter where you drive people, or is it just getting them to listen to the show? And what are kind of your thoughts about platform versus just getting the message out?
Well, I think you need to consider, certainly up front, if your audience is going to have a certain preference for a particular platform. I mean, I think we could, with the audience that I try to reach, I think we could reach them just as effectively with video as we could with audio, as we could with blogging. I think to assume that by focusing on video, you would then, if you had videos and audios in iTunes, that you would be splitting your audiences. Probably not true, because I think some people are just going to find you through one, and it's not necessarily going to be the same people who would find you through the other. Now, when it comes to where do I drive them to, I think that is mostly a question that's important maybe in early on when you're trying to rank in iTunes. We tell people when they try to launch a podcast, it is important to try to get a lot of your following, if you have one, to that show, downloading, subscribing, and things like that within that first week or two. And the hope is that pushes you up the rankings, and then that kind of gets you visibility and snowballs a bit from there. But before considering all those things, I just ask yourself, does my audience have a preference for a particular platform? And maybe just as important, do you have a preference for a particular platform? Video is going to be more complex than audio, but there's a lot of advantages to video. If you're doing yoga, well, you should probably do video. Audio is not going to be quite the same, right? So considerations like that, I think, are the most important at first.
Yeah, I know. So for this show, and what I did was I decided I wanted a podcast on a Monday. I recorded that podcast on a Monday afternoon, and then I spent all of Monday evening figuring out how to get that podcast onto iTunes. So I literally launched a podcast around 11:30 on a Monday night with no audience. So I have lived the life of trying to work yourself back into the good graces of iTunes, never having reached the new and noteworthy. It's been a long journey, but kind of fun at the same time. So I wanted to switch gears. We've talked about everyone's specialty in the book except for Mitch. Mitch, you are the conversion guy. Let's talk about conversions, and specifically, I'm going to give you I'm going to talk to you because I like to use this as free consulting time for me. So I want to talk about something that I'm currently debating with people in my own company, and then I'm going to let you go with this as you can. When it comes to conversions, do all the little button colors and size of fonts, and you read if your buttons are orange, you get 7.2%. Is that stuff people should be worried about, or like what is really the nuts and bolts of conversion when it comes to online? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you can overanalyze details of colors and all that, but I think the strategy behind it is the key. Do you come into the whole process? Because the conversion is very simple. I learned this years ago. You're turning a stranger into a prospect. A prospect is someone who takes an action, opting into your mailing list, picking up the phone. They do something. Then hopefully they will get to be a customer. That's money, okay? And finally, to a referring fan. So there's 4 steps. The big one is getting from that stranger to a prospect. Okay, to do that, and I'll use this book as an example. When I said, oh, am I going to spend all the time and energy to write another book? It takes some time. Basically, money in books isn't huge. It's okay. But if you have a back-end strategy for conversion, so what I said to myself is, what am I going to do at this book? Just sell a few books and call it a day? No. What I'm going to do is say, okay, this book is going to be a lead generator of sorts. It's going to give them such great content, it's going to build credibility, it's going to build trust, and it's going to send them to a web page, which, as you can see under my tag, is onlinemarketingsuperstars.com, where you're going to see all the authors. But I took the time to create 12 audios. Everybody, Lou and Jason are on it, and they're great, well-crafted audios. People will opt in. That's the first step in conversion. Giving them something that feels like you're over-delivering, it's really good. Copyblogger does this all the time. Just real quality stuff. And once they opt in, they're on your mailing list, and then hopefully over time they'll become customers. But if I didn't have that strategy, and then I didn't execute it in a very professional way, and if you go to that website, hopefully you'll see it's not thrown together. It's well-crafted. So I think we're all doing this. This has become the norm on internet marketing. It wasn't in 2005 when I first teaching this, but it's about having a strategy. So in your case, it's not so much the colors. It's, are you offering something that it's irresistible to people, and can you let them know about that? And selling the result, selling what's in it for them.
Yeah, so that's the benefits versus features conversation, right? And I think this is where, so the project that I'm actually working on is massaging features into benefits. It's the most feature-heavy thing I've ever seen, and we're trying to turn it into benefits. But so when people are thinking about what you're just saying, what you're really talking about is think about what the actual benefits are for the person who's coming to this page or coming to your site.
Yeah. And you look at anybody on this call, when you go to Lou's site on video, he's telling you, if you sign up for my course, these are the specific benefits or results you will attain. You'll get more traffic by 12%. Whatever, and the more specific you can be on these results or benefits, the more convincing. And of course, there's a whole testimonials, look and feel. There's a laundry list of things that will enhance the credibility and the conversion. I have it in my chapter, a lot of things on that. But basically, you've got to know why they should be interested and sell them on how their pain can turn into a benefit-oriented result for them if they follow your advice. And people do it all the time, but it's important.
Yeah. Okay. So let's this is good stuff, and I'm gonna break us up here again for another section split where we answer a few questions. This one's actually directed at Jason, and it's from Denise, and Denise says, for getting your message out, what's your recommendation for putting your podcast on multiple platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, for example? I think she's asking, should it be on all of them? Should you pick just one? What's your recommendation there?
Well, the place to start is definitely iTunes, because they're the 800-pound gorilla in the marketplace. And Apple has spent a long time. A lot of people think podcasting is an Apple thing. It's not, but they've definitely co-opted that term, and they've spent a lot of time training people with their mobile devices to download and consume portable media, which is great. And a lot of these people have credit cards and are used to buying little bits of content. Not that you're going to sell your content through iTunes, but you just know that these are those kinds of people, Apple users. So why not hop on to a marketing juggernaut, a company that's been doing that, pre-training for you and has a huge user base. So that's the place to start. the whole podcast, and that's definitely an 80-20 move right there. I think, I mean, I don't know literally what the percentage break is between the different podcasting directories, but there's a large amount with iTunes. The second place to go, I would say, after you've established that position in iTunes and put some concerted effort into getting people to go there, subscribe through iTunes, leave you ratings, leave you reviews, written reviews through iTunes over a couple months period of time, then you could move to another one, and Stitcher has become, I'd say, not a close second, but a second often used directory and application when it comes to podcasting. So you should definitely be there as well. SoundCloud has been a little bit more recent, and I think depending on the topic, you can look at SoundCloud as a place to potentially get found. I would say there's a lot of different niche topics out there that you're not necessarily going to get seen through SoundCloud, but it's a very convenient place to store your audio and to get good bandwidth and good delivery of your media, and to have a player that you can embed, from SoundCloud as well. So, it's a logical place to go ahead and get yourself into SoundCloud. Beyond that, truth be told, I'd say most of the other podcast directories out there, it's more about, well, I may as well have my link and my name and my stuff on this site. But, now you're really getting into the long tail of whether or not anybody's actually going to find you through those sites at that point. So,
yeah. It's funny, talking about players, I actually, probably about a month ago, started using Stitcher's embed feature as the actual player on my site. And instead of coming, directly from Libsyn or using, any of the number of WordPress plugins that allow you to put a player on, I took Stitcher's, and I did see a marked increase in downloads as you said, Stitcher's a smaller community. So once people started pinging the Stitcher player, and maybe this is way too tactical for people, I moved up the Stitcher rankings up into the top 100 in the business category, and then the top 50, and all of a sudden, now you're starting to get found. So it's almost like a play on a smaller community where you could actually make some movement versus, that same thing in iTunes, and iTunes doesn't technically have a player. So, it was interesting to see that. I constantly.
Well, it has gotten harder. It has gotten harder to get attention in iTunes. I mean, in 2005 when we started, iTunes, there was maybe, a few thousand podcasts. Now there's tens of thousands, in fact, hundreds of thousands of podcasts in iTunes. So it has gotten harder, and it just depends on the niche. I mean, certainly business and real estate and things like that, very crowded markets inside of iTunes. So you might go over to Stitcher, and it's better to snowball in a smaller directory and actually get somewhere than to, drown in a bigger pool of iTunes. You need to be in iTunes, though.
Yeah.
And it is worth, I think, in that first couple weeks of the launch of your podcast, trying to get that traction in iTunes. But yeah, you might surprise yourself and find out that one of these other platforms, for whatever reason, your particular audience or the audience that's there attaches to your media well. So
yeah. Can I jump on this podcast for a second?
Yes, please.
Big fan of sound. I see you with your pop filter. Well, just right out of sight. I'm just not using it. I have a recording studio. I mean, when I'm doing sound, I am truly into technology. So whether you're going to get to this level, I mean, right now I'm talking into my computer. We're not going high tech on sound. But when I do it, and I'm sure Jason's like this, and I know Lou's like this, we take the time to learn about how to get great sound, because you have one chance to make that first impression. So you really, if you're doing a podcast, want it to sound great, have a little music coming in, all that sort of thing, even to use a pop filter to get that clarity, and understanding things like proximity effect. If you're talking here or you're talking here, it's a whole different sound. So there's something to be learned about the technology of audio. And you don't have to be a master. It's not a PhD program. Now, Lou and I have talked many times about video in terms of what's the best software. Is it ScreenFlow? Is it Final Cut Pro? Whatever I say, whatever really lights you up, whether it's talking in a podcasting format or doing video or doing social media, find the things that really excite you and learn the technology so that you really come off as a pro.
Yeah. And it's so obvious, I think, too. And Lou, I actually have a question from our audience for you, so I'm gonna kick this over to you next. But maybe you could start your response to this kind of. I had this as something I wanted to talk about as a separate topic, but I think that today, so maybe when you wrote the first version of this book, Mitch, just being there was part of your expertise, right? Like you literally could create a website and could be there and could function and get these things to work together, and that was part of what set you apart. I think today, with the ease of setting up a podcast, putting video on YouTube, having a website through very simple one-click platforms, being there isn't the thing anymore. Now it's how professional can you be inside that platform. I mean, everyone is probably in agreement with that, but that's just something I've seen over and over again. It's as we mature in these platforms, it's not just being there anymore. It's how professional quality you can create in that place as well. Lou, I have a specific question for you, which I want to pull up. This is from Carlos Vargas, and he says, what percentage of video has to be viewed for that view to be an actual view on video? And I think this is kind of a very baseline question, but it's something I think confuses a lot of people, especially with Facebook. You see all these views, and it's like, did 5,000 people really watch the entire 3-minute video? Like, how does this work now?
Well, if it's a video ad on YouTube, you have to actually watch the whole thing, or you have to get 30 seconds into it in order for them to charge you for that view. So that's one way to look at it. But to actually be counted as a view, it depends on the platform. I mean, with YouTube, it's like, okay, I watched the first 10 seconds of that video. So it counts as a view, but YouTube may not give it that much credence because it was a 3-minute video and you only watched 10 seconds. So I don't know all the back-end algorithms, but I think the better question is really, is my content interesting enough so that the viewer will stick around for the message?
Yeah, bingo.
Yep, I completely agree. And Lou, how does someone who's looking to do video, what are some small things that they can do? Mitch talked a little bit about the microphone, the pop filter, maybe having some earphones which help with distortion and other things. I'm not as at that level yet. But what are some things that people can do with video on a baseline level to give them a more professional feel to the product that they're creating?
Right. It really comes down to what the video is for. What's the goal of the video? Because there are certainly some videos where you can just, hold your iPhone and be like, okay, that's my video, and that's fine. There are two kinds of videos. There's a sort of on-the-fly, hey, I'm at the Foo Fighters concert, isn't this cool? Here I am, yada yada, versus a video that's going to be on your website for a length of time, like your homepage video. So I think you have to make the distinction between on-the-fly videos and on-the-shelf videos, which are going to have more shelf life. And for those, you want to spend a little bit more time. But really, I'm here with my Mac on a webcam. That's where I do 99% of my videos. And, I've got a white paper background just to cover up the wall. Nothing fancy there. So a lot of it's kind of smoke and mirrors. You don't need a lot to get started, really. The important thing is that you jump in and get started, and you can kind of progress as you go. And maybe you say, hey, this is working out pretty well. I'm going to get a bit better microphone now, or I'm going to get a better camera now. But you got to start where you're at.
And just to jump on that, Lou, and I think we've talked about this iPhone, I've got the 6, the video capacity, and this just absolutely blew me away, is so good. I have a tripod right over there because you need stabilization, okay? This needs to be sitting not like this, but if you can shoot incredible videos off an iPhone and then produce them a little bit in software like ScreenFull or Mac software. So I just wanted to say, it's not about big-time money anymore. It used to be.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I have a nice DSLR camera that I use for a lot of my video. It cost me $450 on Amazon. I mean, nice, standard 15 by 55 lens on it. The whole thing together was less than $500, and I mean that's definitely a cost. But I mean, if you're buying a brand new 6, and you don't have some kind of deal, you're paying the same amount. And I agree with you. It's not a $5,000 investment. It's a relatively small investment, but the quality is so noticeable when you see someone using a high quality product versus something. My first videos were with a 5-megapixel Android Pro or whatever it was called, and they were held up with my hand. You could see like my shoulder blade was angled in the videos like this, so not very good. Last question for Lou. They're all coming in for Lou. Everyone's interested in video. What do you think about these short format videos? And I'm going to give this to everybody because I think everybody here is going to have a this I think is a larger question. Instagram. We don't not really sure 100% where Twitter is going to be, but Vine. These short format videos. What's their use? Or do they have value? How can we extract value from them?
Yeah, absolutely. You start. I look at what my 16-year-old twins are doing, and then that's going to be what everybody else is using 6 months from now. So they were on Vine, way before everybody else, and Instagram. I think the trick is 15-second videos are great. I mean, television networks have been using 15-second ads for years, so you can get a well-crafted message out there in 15 seconds if you know what you're going to say and you know what your call to action is. Absolutely, do 15-second videos on Instagram, and also again you can get away with a lot less quality because those are kind of those quick on the fly, on the go videos. I haven't really tackled Vine much yet. For 6-second videos are really more like for GIFs and memes and things like that, but I know that my kids are using it a lot, so I'm gonna have to get on it. Well, they actually say, Dad, stay off of Vine, that's ours, you can do Facebook. So.
Well, it's funny you say the thing about twins. Sue Zimmerman, the Instagram gal. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Actually, she's an author in the book. She got on Instagram because of her twin daughters were using it all the time, and that was what her ultimate inspiration was for jumping on Instagram and growing her business. So, Mitch, I'm going to give you last chance at this. Jason, what are your thoughts on this short format video, and do you have any ideas around how people can use it to get their message out?
Personally, I haven't done a whole lot with the short form. However, I do have a friend who works with artists and helping artists sell their art online. Because so many artists think that you got to go get in galleries to be able to sell anything, or else go to big festivals and stuff. And depending on your market, it can be extremely, extremely effective for building a following. And so the obvious example being anything that's visual, like art or something like that. But then I'd follow that up saying I've also seen some very, very creative uses in what you would consider to not be markets that would relate to something like Instagram or Vine. And just like in the same way, I mean, look, like my entire current business and brand launched off of using a new platform, podcasting, back when it was new and taking a chance on it. I think the big mistake that people make is that they try too many things at once, they spread themselves too thin, and then they just kind of give up because nothing worked. And they feel like, well, I got to be everywhere. Whereas, I think there needs to be some focus, but, if it's going to be, you decide, well, podcasting is for me, put some time into, like Mitch was saying, learning how to do some good audio, getting yourself there, promoting yourself how you can. To get yourself, and then it's like, okay, maybe I'll go and add one more. Like, okay, let's pick Twitter or maybe Facebook or maybe LinkedIn. And just because your friend is doing one or another, you need to consider what's going to be best for your market. But you just never know. Like, all of a sudden, you might be on Vine and try something new, and that's the one that takes off and starts getting you a whole bunch of people too. So you do want to try new things, but don't be so scattershot with it that you never have a chance to even get traction in any given one. So there's just kind of a few platform tips that I would share.
I'm 100% with you. Mitch?
All I'll say about that is, to be totally transparent and honest, I don't have kids, so I'm not interfacing with the younger generation around that. Plus, my time is so valuable to me. I only spend time on the forums that I totally dig, And right now, that's not it. But I do want to say one tangential thing. Denise Wakeman has submitted a couple questions. I haven't said this before, but about 6 of the superstars in this book are in the book purely because of the recommendation of Denise Wakeman. So thanks, Denise, and everything you've ever sent to me has been brilliant.
So I can blame Denise for not being in the book.
You might have to do that, yeah.
I'm just playing 100%. I'm 100% joking. No, we are big fans of Denise Wakeman on this show, and she has been a guest and has helped support us in many, many ways. So Content Warfare, I'm not going to say nation because I hate that word, but the audience in this show, we're very appreciative of her. So I want to actually dip into something that Jason just brought up, and I know he's out and he kind of said his piece, so this is actually fine. And let's start with you, Mitch. This be everywhere idea. I know from the work that I do with insurance agencies, the first thing they say is, well, geez, I got to be on Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter and all these, and it's kind of like, whoa. Let's think about what you actually have the capacity to do. What would be your advice for that business that maybe is kind of probably they're not there yet, and they're trying to be all these different things. How do they choose? You know, because you can't really, it's too business specific to say which platform they should be on. So what are some maybe methodology that you have for actually choosing which platform would be the best? Yeah, for you, Mitch.
Well, very simply, and I think this is intuitive for a lot of people. First of all, where do your customers or your prospects live mostly? You know, is it video format? I would do a little research first. Everything starts with research. You know, take a look at what those types of customers or prospects are spending their time doing. Is there a big YouTube presence there? Is there a big podcasting presence there? That's important. But then, for me, I always realize we can't do it all. This is overwhelming to the max what's going on in our world today. So I, once again, focus on the things that I feel I'm best at, and I like video and I like audio. I don't like doing social media typing a lot. I really don't. So it's a combination of what the people listening to you are doing and what you do best. And then, of course, you can outsource the rest.
Lou, what about you?
Mitch is absolutely right. You got to meet your audience where they're at. So, you know, accountants, maybe they're not on Vine. I mean, you probably know instinctively where your audience is, and that's where you need to be. And you can't try and do everything. So it's like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that. It's like, well, look, I know my audience is on Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube, and that's pretty much the three that I focus on.
Yeah, I know for my own, 2014 was like the year of Google Plus for me. I stepped back from Facebook and Twitter and a lot of the other platforms. I created a lot of video with the interaction with YouTube, and it was all about Google Plus for me. And I love the platform, but you know, once I kind of had a feel for it and built up, you know, an audience and colleagues and peers and friends and kind of knew the workings, I have now maybe dialed back the total time that I spent there, and am now reaching back into Facebook, which is a place that I kind of had given up on, just to, what is it like today? Is there opportunity there? And now I'm spending more time in that place. And I think, and one of the things I like to tell people is that audience will follow you, right? Like, most people kind of have a foot in a lot of different buckets, and I think if you don't, the answer is that you don't just have to choose one and that's it forever, and that doing all of them is very difficult unless you have a team. And I think that's kind of just taking a synopsis of what everyone said here. Well, guys, we have been on the show for 47 minutes, which is very value packed. We went in a ton of different directions, and this became more like a rapid fire question and answer than necessarily any type of, like I said, linear path to a conclusion. What I want to do, and Mitch, I'm going to save you for last. I'm going to start with Jason as he's back in here. I want you to give me just your closing thought on what it was like contributing to this book. You know, from the standpoint of, you had one topic that you needed to write on, but it kind of had to fit the overall structure of the book. And also, and this may have not played a role in it at all, but your content is lining up next to some of the best content creators online. So, did you feel any pressure there? Just get your feelings in writing this book, and that will be kind of how we roll through the closing here. Jason, let's start with you.
Well, when it came to writing the chapter for this book, I guess I didn't really think about the fact that, I mean, obviously I was honored to be asked, and that there's a lot of superstars, as the title says. But as with any content that I make, I just immediately put myself in the position of thinking about the person. And when I say the person, yes, I knew thousands of people, or even potentially tens of thousands would read it. But I think about one person as I write that content, and I just think about the value I want to give them, specifically who they are and what their needs are. And I try not to get too carried away in trying to impress my colleagues or impress my peers or impress even Mitch or whatever. It's like, look, I have a very specific person in mind here that I want to help and deliver value. I have a very specific question or topic I want to help them with, a little micro result that I want them to be able to reach given my information, and I just focus on, empathizing with where that person's at, and then creating the best value I can in the 3,000 words or whatever that I had. And that's how I approach any piece of content that I write.
Nice. Lou?
Yeah, with video it's a little bit of a challenge because it changes so quickly, and as fast as you can write it, YouTube is going to change. So I try to focus on the marketing principles, which are timeless, and really focus more on the marketing side of video, so that you don't get caught up with, what does YouTube look like today, or what did Facebook just do, what did they change. So I'm trying to approach it from a marketing standpoint and really make it so that we can remove barriers for people so that they can start using video.
Great. I think that, I'm glad that maybe it was a leading question that was leading to nowhere. Did you feel any pressure in writing? You guys kind of rock shit, I guess you could say, so it's not a big issue.
No,
Mitch.
Yeah. What is the question?
Pulling the book together, fitting your piece into everyone else's piece of this puzzle, right? Like you're kind of seeing them as they all come in, weaving this thing together. What was that like for you, and were there any struggles that you faced, kind of taking all these different chapters and turning them into a thing that functioned as a whole?
Well, this is actually my 5th collection book. 3 Superstars books. I have a world-class speaking program that had world-class speaking in action, which is 50 certified world-class speaking coaches all submitting. I had a guerrilla marketing coaching program, so we wrote Guerrilla Marketing on the Front Lines, which was 35 certified guerrilla marketing coaches. So I've had this idea for years of taking people and letting them speak on what they do best. And in the submissions for this particular book, I was blown away at how good it was, but I'm not surprised. And it's because I let people, first of all, I found people who were experts in the niche of the chapter: video, podcasting, copywriting. When I got Sonia Simone and she's going to submit a copywriting of Brian Clark, of course it was going to be great. I've seen their copy blogger. So what I did was I picked people on basically two reasons. Number one, do they have great content, and were they great writers? Because I've learned you got to make life simple. I don't want to get a whole bunch of chapters and have to edit it. And basically, I got these wonderful chapters. Even Entrepreneur Press has told me multiple times, this is a great book. So I think for the people who are considering getting this book, we're just getting it set on Amazon. It's still on a pre-order, but it's going to be out there. So the book is really terrific. The 12 audios at OnlineMarketingSuperstars.com are great. I know you're multitasking now, so why don't you just multitask your way there. So it's been a great process. I'm real happy about the book. And I thank you guys to come and do this. And I appreciate, Brian, this was a real fun Google Hangout.
Good. It has been very enjoyable for me. Three guys that I did not know before. I like to be transparent on the show. Denise Wakeman and Stepan Havnanian came up to me and said, "We're part of this project. We want to bring on three of the contributing authors and have them talk on your show." And I was like, "Sure." Don't even care who they are. I know if Denise and Stepan recommend them that they'd be great, and you guys were. And I appreciate you dealing with the schizophrenic nature of interviewing 3 people at once, all of which you've never met before. So I think this has been excellent. I want everyone to go out and pick up this book because the diversity of perspective, I think, is what makes it so interesting, right? You're getting different. It's not one person's perspective on 20 different platforms. It is the person or one of the people who has deep insight on a topic working through one chapter. So you're really getting kind of focused attention on each section. Mitch, where can people pick up the book? Is it you said Amazon? Is there anywhere else, or is going to your website the best place to start their search?
OnlineMarketingSuperstars.com, because then you can just click through to Amazon and get the audios if you want. And if you see pre-order, don't worry about it. They're sending it out. There's no delay. It's just we're getting like the infrastructure together a little bit, but the book is available.
Great. Lou, where can everyone connect with you?
LouBortone.com, Bortone.
Great. And Jason?
You can check out our podcast at InternetBusinessMastery.com.
Great. For everyone listening who isn't writing quick enough, you can go to RyanHanley.com/show114. That's RyanHanley.com/show114, and I'll have linked up to everyone's sites and links to the book. Guys, thank you so much. Everyone who's listening in the future, go pick up a copy of Content Warfare on your Amazon, and then I can tell that you have, because it will be like also viewed Content Warfare on the Success Secrets of Online Marketing Superstars on Amazon, and I'll know that everyone bought both books. Why buy one when you can get 2? Content Warfare is cool too. All right, buddy. We are out of here.